At age 8, I showed up to karate practice without a shirt under my white robe-like gi. None of the boys wore bras or shirts underneath, and I didn't get why girls were taught to cover up more when we felt extremely hot and sweaty. My mom thought similarly when she was a young girl in the summer of 1970's Gillette, Wyoming heat, opting to march around the small town with no shirt. Her older brother quickly bullied her into shame and coverage. My granddad and Nana then didn't hear about it. Granddad was a lawyer brokering offbeat legal deals, like trading legal work for a house painting job from a group of hippie bikers, while Nana poured herself into community activism. As president of the local American Association of University Women, she campaigned for a better medical center and pushed for a community rec center, even taking her advocacy to a series in the town paper. As they both busily embraced defying norms, my mom's girlhood defiance was left to curl up like toes and socks soggy with rain when no one told her brother off. When I was growing up, Granddad, now retired, supported my mom in raising my brother and I, while my dad traveled for work. He let my girlhood defiance gleefully spread open, like it was witnessing the sun for the first time after rain. He walked me to and from school, cheered me on as I climbed trees, sometimes climbing with me, despite the principal's repeated warnings. One hot day, trudging uphill after school, I asked, "Why do boys get to be shirtless? It's hot. I should get to be shirtless too." He didn't scold or correct me. Instead, he grinned. "Yeah, you have a good point. Pretty unfair, isn't it?" Needless to say, the last hill up to my house, I tossed my shirt off in defiance of gendered rules I was starting to catch on to, and because of the sensory hell I felt wearing it. That same day when I had karate, I opted to remain shirtless underneath the gi. My pride beamed with a warmth that could make soggy socks dry and toes uncurl, and dissipated as quickly as it came. The woman co-instructor pulled me aside right when she noticed, slightly horrified at my exposure, and made sure I put on a shirt underneath. I did, begrudgingly, not understanding her horror. I was just a girl. What was wrong with my body showing like the boys? I continued with practice, my girlhood defiance soggy like my mom's once was. I spent the next hour staring enviously at all the boys who looked a little more comfortable than me. Their sweat, not contained by a dumb shirt, mocked me as it dripped freely. "You can't be like us, na 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 na." I still envy men, but am relearning the defiance rooted in my mom and I's shirtless girlhood days. Both of us striving for the same feelings of pride felt when we threw them off before anyone told us it was wrong. She is the mom I know, largely in part because of witnessing my grandparents lean into nonconformity throughout childhood, and the mom I know took her soggy girlhood experiences, wrung them out on a clothesline, and marched straight into womanhood, determined like she was on that summer day in Gillette. In motherhood, she was determined for us to experience places beyond San Diego, never giving a second thought to traveling with kids on her own. Each summer, she'd pack my older brother and I and our luggage into the cherry red Chrysler, and we'd be off, relying mostly on confusing MapQuest printouts. We'd spend the month exploring national parks, camping, and making pit stops in small towns missed if we blinked our eyes as we made our way to Keystone, Colorado. Road trips often included my brother and I either happily exploring together, encouraged by our mom, or us fighting. He was my main partner in crime. When we made it to Keystone, we ventured together. We purchased duck food, sprinkled it over the dock where fish swam out from, and noticed they enjoyed it more than the actual ducks. We grabbed our butterfly net, leaned over the dock, and to our surprise, amazingly caught a fish bigger than our faces. When our mom saw from our hotel window, she gleamed. He was also the first boy I practiced screaming at like a fighter would a training dummy when I wanted to assert myself. I had no shame in yelling, "Tim, stop!" When the yelling failed, we grappled with each other like clumsy wrestlers. Although my small but mighty stature lost, I felt pride knowing I still stood my ground. I didn't know then the budding independence my mom was instilling in my brother and I. I definitely didn't know then fights with my brother were preparing me to stand my ground as I entered womanhood. Until I started entering adulthood and began developing a fear of navigating roads and gas stations on my own, I also didn't understand the weight of my mom's dedication to our trips. In spring 2024, after failed attempts to coordinate with friends a trip along the Eastern Sierras, I finally said, fuck it, leaving the safety of companionship behind, embarking on my own. The night before I left, my mom and Nana looked at me. Are you really going to go? On your own? I deeply appreciate the love behind worry, but when somebody puts doubt or brakes on my pursuit of independence, I rebel and scream even harder for it. Of fucking course I was going to go, with a quick stop at Walmart first for pepper spray to make them, okay, and maybe me too, feel a little better about my safety. At 25, carrying family histories of determination, I crave to explore independently as a rejection of fears embedded into me. My girlhood beamed as she marched into womanhood proudly like my mom did. I packed up my white Mazda with luggage stacked like the cross-country trips, drove to Yosemite, camped 4 nights, and hiked at my own pace as waterfalls drenched through my raincoat. I video called Nana with a huge smile on my face to share with her that I got here and it's beautiful. After Yosemite, I drove 5 more hours to reach hot springs outside of Bishop at sunset. The barren desert mountain landscape spanned endlessly from the hot springs. I arrived, parked, put my swimsuit on, and gleefully walked the short trail as I noticed the sky fading into light pink and orange hues. Unlike Yosemite, the hot springs were completely empty. My anxiety spiked knowing I'm alone and I keep my pepper spray intentionally very close to me. Pretty faithless it would actually help, but like tucking my feet underneath a blanket, believing I'll be immune to monsters, pepper spray was a needed false sense of security. Envy started to chant in the back of my head, "You can't be like us, na 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 na," my soggied girlhood crying out for a chance at freedom without fear like my brother gets to experience. I breathe, scan my surroundings, and take in the view, still beaming in spite of envy and anxiety. My short-lived serenity comes to an end as I eye on the trail 2 middle-aged men walking over. Shirtless, scruffy, oily hair, untrimmed beards. As I get closer, there's beer on their breath. I assess their size, noting one's scrawny and the other larger, and sink knowing I am outnumbered anyways. My body clenches as they stepper uncomfortably close into the same hot springs as me, despite 2 other hot springs open below us. I say hi, simultaneously glancing back to make sure my pepper spray is still tucked under my pack near me. "I'm Bobby," says the larger man sitting across from me, "and this is my brother Johnny." Johnny glares, an eerie, missing some teeth grin pointed my way as he settles in beside me. "How's your toe doing, Johnny?" Bobby asks. Johnny lifts his now muddied foot out of the water, gestures me to look at his toenail that's yellowed and about to fall off, enters into a backstory about the injury, and I'm in freeze as I feel his hand brush against my leg. There was enough space in the pool for him to not touch me. I accept it as an accident, scooch away, not wanting to deal with asserting myself. In my scooch closer to the hot springs ledge, I watch Bobby cover his face in sulfur-smelling dirt from the pool bottom. Johnny laughs and laughs, looking at me as he calls him an idiot. I smile along, still deeply unsettled, squeamish about the toe, and Johnny, between dialogue and hopeful I wouldn't notice, gradually inches closer to me, trying to get our shoulders to touch again. I space out on whatever conversation the brothers are having and remain hyperfixated on where Johnny moves. Do I keep up with the appeasement? Do I leave and let go of my stubbornness, refusing to let drunk men take up my space? Why can't they be the ones that move away? I just want to stay with my autonomy untouched. Pangs hit me, grieving for understanding more fully why the woman karate instructor was adamant I covered myself as a young girl. And before I figure out my next course of action, I see a woman with a guy, both around my age, walk over to the hot springs. I exhale, tension trapped in my chest finally expelling itself, and relief consumes me. We exchange small talk as they express their cousins on a road trip. They settle into the lower hot springs nearby. Johnny by now has squirmed himself over, our shoulders touching. I watch underneath the clear enough water to see his thigh less than an inch away from mine. I really don't want to deal with this. Then his hand brushes against my thigh again as he looks at me and compliments my eyes. Jesus fucking Christ. I really need to deal with this. Adrenaline surfaces, recalls my girlhood where harmless rivalries with my brother taught me my voice and determination to stand my ground. I looked right back at toothless Johnny, and with a sternness that could split the sun, loudly stated, "Don't touch me and move away." He moved, gawking with meaningless apologies. I soaked peacefully for hours, untouched. When the cousins left, leaving me with Johnny and Bobby again, mom and daughter showed up shortly after and gave me the needed company to feel safe enough to stay as the dusky sky turned pitch black. In the darkness, I joined them at the lower hot springs, expressed gratitude for their presence. We soaked past midnight together, and the brothers eventually left. I made my way home the next morning. As a girl, I wanted freedom. I wanted to feel the sun hit my bare chest like the boys get to experience. I wanted to keep breaking rules like my granddad taught me. I wanted to keep reveling fearlessly in adventure like my mom. And I wanted to scream my head off if I felt like screaming. Then, womanhood I didn't ask for hit me like the toxic waste car crash that gave Jessica Jones her powers. I resented it deeply. I didn't want to carry pepper spray. I didn't want to need other women for safety. I didn't want my hypervigilance. I didn't want to grow out of the ignorant idealism my girlhood held tightly onto. But Johnny and men like him jolted me out of my idealism and into stark reality. I'm a woman, whether I wanted it or not. I still feel pangs for not experiencing the world like men and boys, but girlhood perches on my shoulder proudly, witnessing the defiance and voice I've grown into into. Like my mom and like my grandma, I am a woman.
Give it up for Jessica Zimm.